All right, my guys, let's get into bridging the gap here. So we're going to bridge the gap between long division and polynomials of division, or dividing polynomials. So the first step, as you got some stuff written down, I'm going to be pausing the video to make sure that it's consistent. But right now what we have here is to set it up for step one. So to set it up, we're going to take our x plus 2 and put it on the outside. So that's going to be our divisor. So our second step, rather, because we did our first one, a second one. So this is actually our second number we're going to associate with. All right. So we're going to do x plus 2 divided by, so put it in the dividing bar, divisor bar, whatever you want to say it, x squared plus 5x plus 6. All right. So we have that set up. It says now for us to take the first term of x, and then we're going to ask ourselves overall, how many times does x plus 2 go into this? So for us, we need to take the first term and ask ourselves, let's put a 1, an imaginary 1. How many times does 1 go into 1? And we already know that that's 1. So instead of us putting a 1 up here, we're actually going to use the variable x. All right? Similar to what we did before when we multiply, like say, remember we did our examples for our division where we multiplied whatever we got up here, we multiplied by, our term out here, we multiplied by what was on the top. We're going to multiply this by both of these terms in here. I'm going to do that on the side. So I'm going to take our x and multiply it by our x plus 2. So I'm doing this over here on the side. That's going to go right underneath here. X times x is x squared, so we're just going to distribute that, so x squared. And then x times a positive 2 is going to be plus 2x. We're going to make our line, and because we're talking about division, we're going to do a difference. X squared minus x squared is 0, it goes away. 5 minus 2x is 3x. And then we bring down the positive 6. All right, my guys, let's get into bridging the gap here. So we're going to bridge the gap between long division and polynomials of division, or dividing polynomials. So the first step, as you got some stuff written down, I'm going to be pausing the video to make sure that it's consistent. But right now what we have here is to set it up for step one. So to set it up, we're going to take our x plus 2 and put it on the outside. So that's going to be our divisor. So our second step, rather, because we did our first one, a second one. So this is actually our second number we're going to associate with. All right. So we're going to do x plus 2 divided by, so put it in the dividing bar, divisor bar, whatever you want to say it, x squared plus 5x plus 6. All right. So we have that set up. It says now for us to take the first term of x, and then we're going to ask ourselves overall, how many times does x plus 2 go into this? So for us, we need to take the first term and ask ourselves, let's put a 1, an imaginary 1. How many times does 1 go into 1? And we already know. So with that, now what we're going to do is we're going to repeat the process. So our step 3, well really 4, but step 3, is for us to now ask ourselves, we're going to repeat the process, I guess we'll say. It's the easiest way to say it, repeat process. All right? Repeat the process. So we're going to ask ourselves right now, how many times does 1x go into 3x? And we know that 1 goes into 3 times, and because this is not negative, it's positive, what we're going to put up here is a plus 3. All right? Now, we're going to do the same exact thing that we did before, except we're going to take the second term that we found and multiply it by this divisor over here. So I'm going to do that right down here. I'm going to do 3 times x plus 2. And then we're going to distribute this 3x and the 2. So 3x plus 2 gives us 3x plus 6. Now that we're finding the difference, we're going to go ahead and say 3x minus 3x, and 6 minus 6 gives us 0. Therefore, our final answer, all right, our final answer is going to be equal to x plus 3. All right, we're going to go over another example in just a moment. All right, so this is a we do, all right, and I want you guys to, obviously we're going to do it together, but I kind of want you to do it as well. First thing I want you guys to do is set this up. How would you set this up to divide? So do that first. I'm going to pause the video, and then I'm going to come back with how I would set it up. All right, we're back. So if you set it up like this, then you're already on the right track. All right, we have our x plus 5 on the outside as our divisor, and then our trinomial inside of our division bar. So the next thing that we're going to do, all right, we're going to take this variable and ask ourselves how many times 1 goes into 1, all right? So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to see if you know what I just said and make it easier for me to help you. So how many times does 1 go into 1? And what are we going to use to indicate that? If you got x, then you're good. What we're going to do now is we're going to multiply the first term that we received when we divided by our divisor. So let's go ahead and do that, and let's see if you get the same answer that I get down here below. If you got x squared plus 5x, then you did your math right. Over here on the side, I actually showed you that I took the first term and I multiplied it by our divisor of x plus 5 to get our x squared plus 5x, which is what we're going to take away from our trinomial. X squared minus x squared is 0, so these go away. And then we do 2 minus a 5x, which is going to give us a negative 3x. And then we bring down our negative 15. Before I keep going, what do you think the next step is? Can somebody, let's pause the video. Let's have a little quick discussion of what you think the next step is between each other before I get going. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves again, how many times does x go into, or 1 go into a negative 3? In this case, we're going to say negative 3, so it's going to be minus 3 on the top. And then we're going to take this term here, the negative 3, and do what we did over here to see if we can get the same answer over here or get some kind of answer. Why don't you pause? We're going to pause the video and see if you can get the same answer that I got, and we'll go from there. All right, so if you got this, negative 3x minus 15, you are correct. What I want you to be mindful of are the signs, right? So we have a negative and a negative, which means we need to distribute this to these terms, which will effectively change the signs in here. So instead of us having a positive or a negative and a negative, it's going to look like this. So we're going to have negative 3x minus 15, and then we have a positive 3x plus 15, right? This is going to go away. It's going to cancel each other out, and that means that our final answer, in this case, is equal to x minus 3. That's our final answer, all right? So if you got that as a final answer, you did a good job. Let me give you a couple to do on your own, and let's see how you do with those, all right? All right, so here are 2 that you can try. This one should be a little easier for you. This one might be a little tricky, but I want to see what you guys get. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to go through to see what answer you get for here, and then we're going to break this one down with each other, and then I'm going to let you guys go off and do some independent practice, all right? So just so that you can see the math real quick, if you got the final answer of x plus 2, then you did it right. I'm going to let this kind of go for a couple of seconds so you can take a look. If you need to, you might need to pause. I want to see how you do on this one, so I'm going to give you a little bit more time, and then I'm going to go over with you, and then we're going to let you go into independent practice. So with this one, what I'm going to do is set it up first. I'm going to put our x plus 3 divided by our trinomial. I think what's throwing people off potentially is the fact that we have a 2x squared, all right? But really, it's not too difficult because we're still asking ourselves the same question. How many times does x or 1 go into 2x squared or 2? In this case, 1 goes into 2 twice. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put at the top a 2 and an x because they also share that variable of x. Then we're going to multiply like we did before, 2 times x, which is 2x squared. And then 2x times 3 is going to be a positive 6x. And then we're going to put our line and do the difference, subtract it. 2x squared minus 2x squared gives us a 0. 7 minus 6x is going to give us an x. And then what we have to do is bring down our positive 3. All right. How many times does x or 1 go into x or 1? And we know it's positive, so it's going to be plus 1. And then what we need to do is take this and multiply this by x plus 3, which we know 1 times anything is itself. So we have x plus 3. We're going to divide that, or subtract it. X plus 3 minus x plus 3 does in fact give us a 0. So our final answer for this is 2x plus 1. So if you got that, you're doing pretty good with this, and you're catching on pretty quick, and I'm very, very proud of you. Just know that if there's anything specific that you need in regards to the polynomials and dividing polynomials, you let me know. But go ahead, I'm going to post a worksheet and also send some stuff for you guys to work on some division of polynomial stuff. Gentlemen, I'm very proud of you. I want you to continue to do well and let me know what you need. I love y'all, and until next time, you already know the deal. Deuces.